Welcome, gents. A lion doesn't have to tell you it's a lion, you just know. Some men demand attention. They're loud, dominant, always trying to prove something. A Sigma male, he does the opposite, and that's exactly what makes him stand out. He's not interested in being the center of attention, yet you can't ignore him. He's not trying to impress anyone, yet people respect him. He moves differently, independent, strategic, and completely unfazed by social pressure. You won't catch him fighting for a spot in the hierarchy because he doesn't need a tribe to validate him. He operates on his own terms, in his own space, without seeking approval. But spotting a Sigma isn't about looking for the loudest or the strongest. It's about recognizing the man who sees everything but reveals little, the one who can be fully present in a crowd and then disappear without explanation. He's not unfriendly, but he's also not eager to belong. If you meet a man who is both social and distant, both engaged and detached, both approachable and unknowable, you've found him. The question is, have you seen this in others, or have you seen it in yourself? If you feel like you don't fit into the usual social boxes, if you value your freedom above everything, if people struggle to figure you out, you're not lost, you're just different. Watch the full video to understand how a Sigma male moves, thinks, and operates, because once you know what to look for, you'll start seeing them everywhere. Let's get started. Gents. Number 1, they're the guy who leaves the party without saying goodbye. Most people follow the script. When they leave a party, they make their rounds, shaking hands, giving hugs, explaining why they have to go. They worry about seeming rude, about what others might think. A Sigma male, he's already out the door. 1 minute he's there, blending into the scene, engaged when he wants to be. The next, gone. No announcement, no drawn-out goodbyes, no need for validation, not because he's being disrespectful, but because he doesn't see the point in performing unnecessary social rituals. He understands something most people don't. His presence is his choice, not an obligation. When he's had his fill of social interaction, he simply leaves. No drama, no attention-seeking, no need for anyone's permission. He doesn't owe an explanation for why he came or why he left. He moves when it suits him, not when it's expected. This behavior confuses people. Some take it personally, thinking he didn't care enough to say goodbye. Others assume he must be antisocial or in a bad mood. The truth? He just doesn't see the need to make his exit a spectacle. Sigmas don't thrive on external validation. They don't need a big send-off to feel appreciated or remembered. They know that real connections don't need constant maintenance. If you're important to him, he'll see you again, no grand farewell necessary. If you've ever noticed a guy who was fully present one moment and mysteriously vanished the next, with no fuss, no apologies, and no loose ends, that's a Sigma. And if that sounds like you, here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your presence, and you definitely don't owe them a performance when you leave. Real power is in knowing when to walk away without making a scene. Number 2, they operate on a need-to-know basis, and you rarely need to know. Most people treat their personal lives like an open book. They share their struggles, achievements, plans, and even their deepest emotions with just about anyone willing to listen. A Sigma male? He does the exact opposite. His personal life is a vault, and unless you've earned access, you're not getting in. Not because he's paranoid or secretive for no reason. It's because he understands the power of privacy. He knows that the more people know about you, the more control they have over you. Ever had a conversation with someone for months, maybe even years, only to realize you still don't really know anything about them? That's a Sigma. He reveals just enough to keep interaction smooth, but never more than necessary. You might think you're close to him, but if you step back, you'll realize you actually don't know where he lives, what he does in his free time, or what's truly on his mind. This isn't an accident, it's by design. Sigmas don't overshare because they don't need validation from others. They don't need to prove their worth through stories of their past, nor do they feel the urge to explain themselves. They let people assume what they want because, at the end of the day, assumptions don't affect reality. This makes them unpredictable. People can't figure them out, can't pin them down, can't use their weaknesses against them, because they never handed over the information in the first place. If you know someone who keeps their life just out of reach, who reveals things in fragments but never the full picture, and who listens far more than they speak, you've just spotted a Sigma. And if that sounds like you, understand this. Keeping your life private isn't isolation, it's power. Number 3, their eyes say, I know. even when they say nothing. Some people talk too much, they gossip, spread rumors, and make noise just to feel important. A Sigma male, he doesn't have to say a word, but somehow he always knows more than he should. His power isn't in talking, it's in watching. While others are busy running their mouths, he's taking mental notes. He catches details that others overlook, the hesitation in someone's voice, the shift in their body language, the contradiction between what they say and what they actually mean. And when he looks at you, his eyes don't just see you, they read you. It's that unsettling, unspoken "I know." Not because someone told him, not because he pried, but because he pays attention. His silence isn't ignorance, it's a choice. He's not interested in shallow chatter or pointless drama, but if something matters, if there's a shift in the room, a power play happening, or an unspoken tension beneath the surface, he already caught it before anyone else did. This is why people find him both intriguing and intimidating. He doesn't react the way they expect. He doesn't need confirmation to believe what he already knows. And because he doesn't broadcast his knowledge, people are left wondering, what else does he see? What else does he know? A Sigma male doesn't waste words proving he's right. He just waits. When the truth eventually comes out, and it always does, he won't say, "I told you so." He'll just give you that look, the one that says he saw it coming long before anyone else did. So if you've ever met someone who sits back quietly, speaks only when necessary, and somehow seems to know exactly what's going on without being told, you've just spotted a Sigma. And if that sounds like you, here's your truth. Real intelligence doesn't announce itself. It observes, it calculates, and when the time is right, it acts. Number 4. They reject forced brotherhood. Most men crave belonging. They want to be part of a brotherhood, a pack, a team, something that reinforces their identity and makes them feel like they matter. They form groups, establish hierarchies, and follow unspoken rules to prove their loyalty. A Sigma male, he sees right through it and walks the other way. He's not antisocial and he's not against teamwork. But the moment a group starts feeling like a tribe built on forced loyalty, he detaches. Why? Because he doesn't need a pack to validate his masculinity. He knows who he is, with or without a title, a crew, or a shared ideology. This is what confuses people. Most men who reject groups do so because they were excluded, but a Sigma, he opts out voluntarily. He doesn't need rituals, groupthink, or structured hierarchies to prove his worth. He can lead without demanding followers, work with others without submitting to them, and build alliances without losing his independence. If a group's strength depends on constant validation, he knows it's built on insecurity. If they expect blind loyalty, he knows it's about control. And if they think brotherhood means unquestioning obedience, he knows it's just another form of weakness. A Sigma has no time for any of that. That's why some men see him as a threat. They don't understand how he can stand alone without seeking approval. They mistake his independence for arrogance, when in reality he simply refuses to pretend. He'll collaborate when it makes sense, but the moment a group expects him to need them, he's gone. So if you notice a man who never latches onto cliques, never follows just to fit in, and never needs a tribe to define his strength, you've just spotted a Sigma. And if that sounds like you, understand this. Walking alone doesn't mean you're lost. It means you know exactly where you're going. Number 5, they do things alone that most people wouldn't dream of. Most people need company to feel comfortable. They won't go to a restaurant alone because they worry about how it looks. They won't travel solo because they think it's lonely. They won't sit in silence for too long because their own thoughts make them uneasy. A Sigma male, he does all of these things effortlessly and enjoys them. He walks into a high-end restaurant alone, orders exactly what he wants, and takes his time eating. Zero embarrassment, zero need for company. He books solo trips to places most people wouldn't dare visit without a group. He hikes deep into nature, no phone signal, no backup, just him and his thoughts. And here's the key. He's not doing it to prove anything. He's not forcing himself to be different. This is just how he naturally operates. Most people rely on external stimulation to keep them engaged. A Sigma doesn't. He thrives in his own space, his own silence. He's comfortable with his own mind in a way that others aren't. While most fear being alone because it forces them to confront their thoughts, a Sigma embraces it because he's already mastered himself. This is why he's unpredictable. He doesn't move with the crowd and he doesn't need group approval to validate his experience. His life is self-directed, his decisions unfiltered by public opinion. If you see a man effortlessly enjoying his own company, doing things solo that most people wouldn't dare, with zero awkwardness or insecurity, you've just spotted a Sigma. And if that sounds like you, here's what you need to know. Your ability to stand alone isn't strange, it's your power. While others depend on a crowd, you move freely, and that's rare. Number 6, they can switch between social and solitary instantly. Most people fall into two categories: social butterflies who constantly need people around, or loners who struggle with socializing. A Sigma male, he's both, but on his own terms. 1 minute he's fully engaged, making conversations flow effortlessly, even charming when he wants to be. The next, he's gone. No explanation, no big announcement, just a quiet exit. Not because he's upset, not because he's lonely, simply because he chooses to be alone. This ability to move between social and solitary worlds confuses people. They wonder, how can someone be so present one moment and so distant the next? The answer? A Sigma doesn't need social interaction. He simply allows it when it serves a purpose. He enjoys meaningful conversations, but he doesn't rely on them for validation. He can be magnetic at a gathering, but he has no attachment to staying. Unlike extroverts who gain energy from socializing and introverts who find it draining, a Sigma's energy isn't tied to either. He can engage effortlessly, but once he's had his fill, he disappears. No explanations, no loose ends. If a Sigma talks to you, it's because he wants to, not because he needs to. And when he's done, he moves on without a second thought. This is why some people misinterpret him. They mistake his silence for rejection, his solitude for sadness. But he's not isolating himself out of loneliness. He's recharging, recalibrating, thinking. A Sigma male disappears because solitude is his default setting. He doesn't fear being alone. In fact, he thrives in it. So if you know someone who can shift between being social and vanishing like a ghost, who can be fully engaged one moment and unreachable the next, you're dealing with a Sigma. And if that sounds like you, understand this. Your ability to walk away isn't a weakness, it's your greatest power. Number 7, they're not too nice or too harsh, they're surgical. Most people operate at one extreme or the other. They're either too nice, bending over backward to please everyone, or they're overly aggressive, constantly proving themselves. A Sigma male? He's neither. He doesn't waste time being overly agreeable, but he also doesn't lash out for no reason. His approach is surgical, precise, controlled, and only used when necessary. You won't see a Sigma snapping at people over petty things. He doesn't waste breath on unnecessary arguments or flex his power just to feel superior. But when he does respond, it's clean, calculated, and final. No drawn-out conflicts, no emotional outbursts, just a simple, well-timed action that leaves no room for misinterpretation. This is why people don't know how to handle a Sigma. He's unpredictable. Most men follow a pattern, either always passive or always aggressive. But a Sigma moves when it makes sense, not when his emotions demand it. If someone disrespects him, he doesn't react immediately. He studies, he calculates, and when the moment is right, he responds in a way that leaves no loose ends. People often mistake this for coldness, but it's not. It's efficiency. Why fight when you can end the problem in one move? Why argue when silence will make a stronger impact? Why seek revenge when indifference will do more damage? If you ever meet a man who seems calm when others would explode, who speaks only when his words will have maximum effect, and who handles problems with quiet precision, pay attention. You're looking at a Sigma. And if that's you, then understand this. Your strength isn't in loudness or force. It's in your ability to strike once and make it count. Number 8, they live by one rule. No one controls me, not even my own emotions. Most people think freedom is about money, status, or power. But a Sigma male knows the deepest form of freedom isn't external, it's internal. It's the ability to control yourself so completely that nothing, not society, not other people, not even your own emotions, can dictate your actions. This is what separates a Sigma from everyone else. He doesn't react emotionally just because someone pushes his buttons. He doesn't chase validation, approval, or attention. And most importantly, he doesn't let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. Think about how most people live. They get triggered, they react. They feel lonely, they seek company. Even if it's the wrong kind, they feel angry, they lash out, they feel sad, they look for distractions. Their emotions pull the strings and they just follow. A Sigma male, he cuts the strings. This doesn't mean he's emotionless, it means he refuses to let emotions control him. He understands that emotions are just signals, not orders. Anger tells him something is wrong, but it doesn't dictate his response. Loneliness might whisper in his ear, but it doesn't send him running into meaningless relationships. Fear might show up, but it never stops him from making the right move. This level of self-mastery makes people uneasy. Why? Because it's rare, because it's powerful, and because it means no one, not manipulators, not authority figures, not even his own weaknesses, can steer his life in a direction he didn't choose. If you ever meet a man who seems untouchable by mind games, drama, or pressure, who moves through life with quiet certainty as if he's following a code only he understands, you're looking at a Sigma male. And if that sounds like you, then you're not just watching this video to learn about Sigmas, you're watching it to recognize yourself. Number 9, he's the only one who seems completely at ease alone. Most people can't handle silence. They fidget, scroll mindlessly through their phones, turn on background noise, anything to avoid being alone with their thoughts. But a Sigma male? He doesn't just tolerate solitude, he thrives in it. While others are busy chasing distractions, he's perfectly at ease in his own world, as if being alone isn't a void to fill, but a power source to recharge from. You'll notice it in the way he carries himself. He doesn't look lost, awkward, or restless when he's alone. There's no nervous energy, no desperate need to check his notifications. While most people use their phones as social armor, proof that they're busy or important, a Sigma male doesn't need that. His presence alone is enough. He could be sitting in a coffee shop, standing at an event, or walking through a crowd, and there's an undeniable calmness about him. He's fully comfortable in his own company, and that unsettles people who rely on constant validation. What's even more interesting is how others react to his solitude. Some are intrigued. They wonder, what's he thinking? Why isn't he trying to impress anyone? How is he so unbothered? Others feel exposed because next to him their need for constant noise becomes painfully obvious. His quiet confidence forces them to question their own dependence on external stimulation. This is the power of a Sigma male. He doesn't need a social crutch to feel complete. He isn't avoiding people, nor is he lonely. He simply values his own space more than meaningless company. And because he's so self-contained, people often find themselves drawn to him. There's something rare about a man who doesn't need an audience, doesn't need to prove anything, and most importantly, doesn't need anyone else to feel whole. Number 10, he doesn't get pulled into competition. He outpaces everyone silently. Most people get caught up in proving themselves, flaunting their achievements, boasting about their success, and constantly seeking validation. They crave recognition, thrive on applause, and waste energy battling others for the spotlight. A Sigma male. He's built differently. He doesn't argue. He doesn't show off. He doesn't waste a second trying to prove he's the best. Instead, he just is. While others are busy flexing, he's busy working. While they're distracted by competition, he's focused on mastery. He moves in silence, operating on his own timeline, guided by his own standards. He doesn't announce his plans. He simply executes. He doesn't warn his competitors. He just outpaces them without a word. By the time they even realize he was in the race, he's already at the finish line, standing there like he never broke a sweat. And this is what makes him so dangerous. He doesn't need external motivation. He doesn't care if people underestimate him. If anything, he prefers it that way. It gives him the advantage of being overlooked while he's silently pulling ahead. Sigma males don't thrive on competition because they don't measure success the way others do. They don't chase trophies. They chase personal excellence. They don't compete to be better than others. They compete to be better than they were yesterday. And because of that, they surpass everyone without even trying to. The most frustrating part for his so-called rivals, they never see it coming. They think they're ahead, they think they're winning, until one day they look up and realize he's already far beyond them. No noise, no showboating, just results. A Sigma male doesn't need to fight for the top spot. He moves so efficiently that before anyone knows it, he's already won. Number 11, social norms annoy him, but he'll play along if necessary. A Sigma male doesn't reject society outright. He just doesn't see the point in following rules that exist just because. He's not the guy who throws a loud rebellion against norms, nor is he the one who blindly conforms. Instead, he operates on a simple principle. Does this serve a purpose? If the answer is no, he won't waste his time. You'll notice it in the small things. The forced pleasantries, he'll keep them to a bare minimum. The unnecessary meetings, he'll find a way to avoid them or say just enough to get out of there quickly. The expectation to be social for the sake of it, He doesn't buy into it. But here's what makes him different. He knows when to play along, not out of fear, but out of strategy. If shaking hands and smiling at the right moment helps him get what he wants, he'll do it. If dressing a certain way or using the right words in a conversation opens doors, he'll oblige, but never more than necessary. While others blindly follow rules, he picks and chooses when to engage, making his moves with precision. He's playing chess while everyone else is following a script they never questioned. This is why people can't quite place him. He's not openly rebellious, yet he doesn't blend in either. He can move through social spaces with ease, but there's always a sense that he's detached, watching, calculating, never fully invested. It's not arrogance and it's not antisocial behavior, it's simply a refusal to waste time on anything meaningless. So if you ever see a man who seems effortlessly in sync with the crowd, yet strangely untouched by it, pay attention. You might just be looking at a Sigma male, a man who plays the game only when it suits him and walks away the moment it doesn't. In conclusion, the Sigma male, unmistakable, unstoppable. A man who knows himself needs no permission to exist on his own terms. A Sigma male doesn't need to introduce himself. You recognize him by the way he carries himself. He's not the loudest in the room, but his presence is felt. He's not chasing validation, yet he commands respect. He moves differently, thinks differently, and lives by his own rules. That's what sets him apart. If you see these traits in yourself, understand this. You don't need to explain who you are to anyone. The world may not always understand your quiet confidence, your ability to stand alone, or your refusal to follow the crowd. But that's their problem, not yours. You were never meant to blend in. Some people will be drawn to your energy, others will feel unsettled by it. Either way, you don't adjust yourself to make them comfortable. You keep moving forward, silently outpacing expectations, proving nothing to no one but yourself. That's the essence of a Sigma male. Not trying to impress, not trying to lead, just living so efficiently that others can't help but take notice. So keep trusting your instincts. Keep choosing depth over shallowness, action over empty words, and independence over approval. Society thrives on labels, but you don't need one. You don't chase status, yet you rise. You don't demand attention, yet you leave an impact. The world will try to pull you into distractions, competition, and pointless games. Let them waste their energy. You have nothing to prove, because at the end of the day, the Sigma male isn't defined by what he says. He's defined by what he does. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.